Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Madam, and I'm coming back to you once again. If you are returning to my channel, welcome back. And to all the new people, hello, my name is Madam. But this is part two of the story that I was reading, the article about Diddy and his 64 lawsuits that is pending right now at this moment. In addition to them just doing closing arguments in his federal racketeering ST trial, this is the uh, many lawsuits that have been leveled against him. In the first one, we did Rodney Jones versus Sean Combs, and then we went through that, and then we did Jane Doe versus Sean Combs, and then we did Cassandra Cassie Ventura versus Sean Combs. Those three were some of the most widely talked about ones. And then we did Lisa Gardner versus Sean Combs. I did that in the first video. You can go check that out. But we're going to go to case number 5, which is Joe Dickerson Neal versus Sean Combs. In her 22-page complaint, Dickerson alleges that she met Combs after she had appeared in a music video with him while she was a student at Syracuse University. She claims she later agreed to go out to dinner with him on January the 3rd, 1991, while on school break. During their date, Dickerson alleged that Combs intentionally drugged her. She accused Combs of SAing her and video recording the assault. According to her complaint, days later, a male friend allegedly revealed to her that he, along with other men, had viewed the footage of said tape. She asked her friend who had seen the tape, and her friend allegedly told her everyone. Dickerson claims from that point in her life went into a tailspin, and after returning to college, she had to be admitted to the hospital for several severe depression and self-harm ideations. Dickerson claims she had suffered a lifetime of injuries from being drugged, SA'd, and abused, and being the victim of revenge porn that Sean Combs or P. Diddy created and distributed. She is suing him for assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, human trafficking, and revenge porn. When was this filed? November 23rd, 2023 in New York Superior Court, which was one day before the cutoff for the civil cases for the past sexual offenses under the New York Adult Survivors Act. What is the status? Ongoing. On March 1st, 2024, Dickerson attorney filed papers giving Combs until April 12th, 2024 to respond in her court complaint. What was Combs' response? Through a spokesperson, Combs denied and rejected the claims of misconduct. He recognized this is a money grab. That seems to be a current theme. The spokesman said in a statement, because of Combs' fame and success, he is an easy target for accusers who will falsify the truth without consent or consequence for financial benefit. The New York legislature surely did not intend or expect the Adult Survivors Act to be exploited for improper purposes. The public should be skeptical and not rush to accept these unsubstantiated allegations. Okay? So that is case number 5. And basically that was put out into the news atmosphere, but uh, nothing has really came of it. Well, a lot of the cases you hear about them, and nothing has really, came of them as of yet. I'm assuming that once the trial is done, the federal trial that he is currently going through, whatever the verdict is, they will proceed more aggressively. That is my thoughts on it, okay? But yeah, I heard about this one too. Now we go to case number 6. This case number 6, is Grace O. Marquez versus Christian Combs. What does the lawsuit say? Sean Combs' 26-year-old son, Christian King Combs, is being sued for assailant battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress, among other allegations. The 31-page lawsuit brought by Grace O. Marquez claims that she was assailant while working on a yacht deckhand as a deckhand for the family during Christmas break in 2022 in the Caribbean. She is also asking that Sean Diddy Combs be held liable for his son's actions for charting the yacht, assuming responsibility for his guests throughout the Caribbean trip. Marquez alleges that there was a consistent rotation of suspected uh, exotic workers and other A-list celebrities such as French Montana and actor Cuba Gooding Jr. on the yacht. Marquez alleged exotic workers were sprawled out unconscious about the yacht, and it was difficult to distinguish which bottles of alcohol were laced with drugs and which bottles were not. In the early morning of December the 28th, 2022, a heavily intoxicated Christian Combs physically assaulted her, according to the complaint. She alleges that Christian Combs blocked her from leaving, took off his clothes, and tried to force her to perform fellatio on him. Marquez is suing Diddy, blaming him for fostering an environment of uh, debauchery filled with exotic workers, violence, alcohol, alleged laced with drugs, and disrespect for crew. When was this filed? April 4th, 2024 in Los Angeles Superior Court. This is ongoing currently. And what was Combs' response? Andrea, a attorney for the father-son duel, called the lawsuit claims lewd and meritless. The complaint is filled with the same kind of manufactured lies and irrelevant facts we're come to expect from Blackburn. I told you in the first video, you're going to hear Blackburn's name quite often throughout some of these lawsuits. So, continuing on, he said, referring to the lawyer also representing Rodney Jones, this is exactly why the federal judge in New York slapped him with 2 days ago for a pattern of behavior of improperly filing cases in federal court to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly, and why he was referred to the disciplinary committee in the Southern District of New York. We will be filing a motion to dismiss this outrageous claim. Um, in the event of all of this going on and what was said and things like that, there was an alleged audio recording that was taken by Rodney Little Rod Jones, and it allegedly details her telling King Combs that, she didn't want to be touched or whatever the case was. They were in a studio type area or some type of recording area, I'm assuming. And that's when the recording was taken. But this was, played a little bit, you know, um, through the news press and things like that. Now, we're going to go over to case 7. Case 7 is Crystal McKinney versus Sean Combs. And McKinney says she met Combs when she was 22-year-old model, and a designer flew her into New York City to attend Fashion Week event at Cipriani. The unnamed designer handpicked her clothes: a black leather coat, a translucent chiffon beige V-cut shirt, which McKinney said she has kept unwashed in plastic wrap after the traumatic events. McKinney alleges Combs told her that he had power in the industry and was going to help her advance her career. Later that same night, McKinney alleges she met Combs at a studio where he gave her a lace joint, plied her with alcohol, followed her to the bathroom, and forced her to perform fellatio on him. After the assault, McKinney believes Combs blackballed her in the modeling industry. She since suffered depression and even attempted to self-harm. This was filed on May 21st, 2024 in Federal Superior Court in Manhattan. It is currently ongoing, and representatives for Combs have not yet responded to the request for comments. Uh, I'm assuming that they probably didn't respond either because he is currently going through some things. Um, you know, um, at this point, I believe they were still investigating him. They didn't actually pick him up until September. But the heat was definitely turning up. They were, lining all their ducks in a row. And when I say they, I mean the prosecution, the feds. They were continuously building their case, and I feel like they still are. But for the short amount of time that they had, at this time, things was just like the floodgates was just opening up. But let's go on to case number 8. April Lampos versus Sean Diddy Combs. It says April Lampos filed a 22-page lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, accusing him of battery as a negligent infliction of emotional distress and committing a crime of violence motivated by gender. Lampos' claim filed in New York State Court alleges that Lampos met Combs in early 1994 when she was a college student at a Fashion Institute of Technology. Initially, Lampos said Combs promised to mentor her and showered her with gifts and flowers. Lampos said she endured 4 terrifying intimate encounters up till the 2000s. The first occurred in 1995 when she felt uneasy after he pressured her to drink. Lampos alleges that Combs took her to a hotel, ignored her pleas, and raped her, according to the lawsuit. Lampos said months after Combs continued to send her gifts and flowers, believing the first rape was a mulligan, she decided to give him a second chance. The second accusation occurred in a parking lot in view of the parking garage attendant. She says Combs forced his male member into her mouth and, performed fellatio. During the third encounter in 1996, he allegedly forced her and an ex of his, the singer Kim Porter, to take ecstasy and have relations with each other. Combs allegedly pleasured himself and then raped Lampos. According to the complaint, Lampos said that four incident occurred at the end of 2000 when Combs was dating Jennifer Lopez. She Jennifer Lopez, oh wow. She claims he came over to her apartment with his security and tried to get her to have relations with him, but she was unable to refuse his advances by opening the door and demanding that he leave. Years later, at an event in 2023, Lampos said a man informed the person she was with that he had seen a tape of Lampos having relations with Combs filmed without her consent. When was this lawsuit filed? May 23rd, 2024, in New York County Superior Court. It is still ongoing, and Combs Reps has not responded to Vulture's request for comment. So, I mean, a lot of these cases is going to be ongoing. I pretty much have a feeling that it's not any of them proceeding because of the current federal legal battle that he's going through right now. But we're going to move on to case number 9. This is Derek Lee Cardello, Smith versus Sean Diddy Combs. Derek Lee Smith, I'll just call him Derek Lee Smith, filed a personal injury complaint against Combs, alleging that the singer SA'd him, according to the news. Smith, who is currently incarcerated in a Michigan correctional facility until 2026, told Michigan Judge Anne Marie Anzol, who held a virtual court hearing with Smith from jail in July, that he recently had a meeting with Combs in which Combs told him that he would make him an offer to settle the case because of the things that he stated he had going on in his life that required his money right now, and he wants to see everything off. Smith claimed Combs offered him $2.3 million to allow what happened to me to go away. This is him essentially talking to the judge. When the settlement money never materialized, Smith asked the judge for a preliminary temporary restraining order injunction that prevented Combs from selling his Los Angeles mansion for $70 million for 90 days. Judge Anzol, I apologize for butchering these people's names, child, granted Smith's request, and then at a hearing on September 9th, granted his additional request for a $100 million default judgment against Combs for failing to appear at a hearing, according to court records. This is not Smith's first jailhouse lawsuit. He filed 3 other lawsuits while incarcerated. According to the Detroit Metro Times, he is known for his long history of challenging the judicial system and with civil lawsuits. When was this filed? June 10th of 2024 in Michigan's Linwy County Circuit Court. What is the status? A judge has set aside the $100 million judgment because the notice of the case was not properly sent. There will be another hearing on November 4th. Did Combs respond after the judgment was issued? Combs' attorney, Mark Anifilo, released statements on behalf of his client to the multiple media outlets. This man is a convicted felon in sexual predator who has been sentenced on 14 counts of SA and kidnapping over the last 16 years. The statement read, His resume now includes committing a fraud on the court from prison, as Mr. Combs has never heard of him, let alone been served with any lawsuit. Mr. Combs looks forward to having this judgment swiftly dismissed. As of yet, it has yet to be dismissed, or we have not heard anything else from it. And I just want to point out that even though a person may be incarcerated or in prison or had some other things, regardless if they're a felon or not, does not, I mean, yeah, it might make people look, a few times, multiple times, and be like, hey, that sounds kind of sus. But at the end of the day, uh, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And that is the name of the game when you're dealing with the court of law. Well, it used to be the name of the game until, current things is happening. I'm pretty sure everybody done read about it, the big beautiful bill, everything, right? But I digress. Now, the 10th case is about Don Richards versus Sean Combs. It says Don Richards, who was a member of two of Combs' musical groups, Danity Kane and then Diddy Dirty Money, filed a 55-page lawsuit against Combs in Manhattan's federal court, saying that she personally witnessed Combs assault his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Richards claims that his abuse included choking and strangling Miss Ventura, striking her with his hands and with objects, slapping her, punching her, and throwing items at her, including scalding hot pan. Richards also described trying to help Ventura and Combs, threatening her life in return. Richards' lawsuit alleges that Combs regularly hurled objects in fits of rage, including mobile phones, laptops, food, and studio equipment at people. Richards said she also saw Kim Porter, the mother of 3 of Combs' children, leave the recording studio in 2005 in tears and with visible facial injuries. Richards claims she was present when Combs had a party and that dozens of girls, some whom appeared to be not legal, were given drugs and alcohol, and that even though many of them appeared lethargic or passed out, Mr. Combs and his guests performed intimate acts on them, according to her complaint. Mr. Combs repeatedly said things like, "This is a buffet, enjoy yourselves, this is what we do, this is how we party," Richards' lawsuit states. Richards says was concerned for her safety and was subjected to gender-motivated violence and was harassed and assaulted by Combs. She is suing Combs for S-team, S-battery, and false imprisonment, among other claims, and is demanding a jury trial. This was September 10th, 2024 in Manhattan Federal Court. This is still ongoing. The false imprisonment comes from, she alleges that he locked her into a vehicle and the driver was instructed not to let her out, to the point where she had to call her father, which lives in Baltimore. And allegedly he was threatened as well. So yeah, it's a lot going on with that. But Combs' attorney, Erica Wolf, shared the following statement. Mr. Combs is shocked and disappointed by the lawsuit. In an attempt to rewrite history, Don Richards has now manufactured a series of false claims, all in the hopes of trying to get a payday. Why is that the running theme? Conveniently, timed to coincide with her album release and press tour. If Miss Richards had such a negative experience with making the band and Danny Kane, she would have not have chosen to continue working directly with Mr. Combs, and that is not true. And I'll explain after I finish this. For Dirty Money, nor would she have returned for the making of the band reboot in 2020 or agreed to be featured on the Love album last year. It's unfortunate that Miss Richards has cast their 20-year friendship aside to try to and get money from him, but Mr. Combs is confidently standing on the truth and looks forward to proving that in court. Okay? So, with that being said, Donna Richards, the thing with that is that no matter what the situation is, even if it's just real life or just an everyday person, not a person of status or wealth or, a celebrity or athlete or whatever, um, people will go back if they have been abused. They have studied this scientifically, but when it comes to people of Diddy stature, people of, for example, R. Kelly stature, people tend to believe that, some of these victims are, um, you know, just doing it for a payday. I truly don't believe, in my genuine opinion, that it is 64 people that are just coming forward with 64 and counting, 64 and counting, because there were two or three other lawsuits that just broke in the last 48 hours. Okay? So I don't believe that all 64 people are lying. I just generally don't. It's not a group effort. As far as I know, a lot of these people don't know each other. Some of them do have some, intermingling when they can, you know, um, corroborate each other's stories. But for the most part, a lot of these people do not know each other. And you have to think, this is back in 94, 95, 91, and all the way up to 2000, all the way past 2000, 2023. We learned in court through Jane Doe, who is allegedly Daphne Joy, allegedly, that he's still paying her rent and legal fees. So, the question would be, if the statement was, why would she, Dawn Richards, or anyone continue to still do money, still, do business with this person and things like that? Point no further than Jane Doe. Their reasons may not have been the same, but that just goes to show you that even if a person is being abused, whether it's physically or mentally or a combination of things, they will still go back to the person that abused them. They will still try to find some common ground, some middle ground. If business was good and the person was abusive, like, yeah. And then there's also reports that he didn't really pay her what she was supposed to be paid, from Danny D. King or the other group that she was in. So, I mean, there's that. But again, like I said, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. But I'm going to take it down right here, because this video is kind of long. So, I will come back, and next time when we come back, we are going to be talking about Talia Graves versus Sean Diddy Combs. Okay? Don't forget to drop down in the comment section, chop it up with me. Let me know how you feel. Have you heard about some of these stories? So far, I've heard about every story that I've, spoke about. But you let me know, have you heard about it? And what are some of your opinions about it? And do you feel that a person can still work with a person, have some type of relationship or uh, partnership business with a person, even though they may in fact be that person's abuser? Let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And As always, I am appreciative of you listening to my videos. And until then, I will get with you guys later. But always remember, be good to yourself first. Woke up looking for the late hot key. Keep a horn up, like a pussy hot key. Pushing the blueprint, it's not a beat.